Everybody good? Good. All right. Okay. I'm actually happy they made some changes to this. Personally. Jason, want to touch on it a little bit?
Yeah, they eliminated the type location requirements of the property, which I felt was, nobody really ever knows. So they said, description of property to be acquired, you can make it as specific or as open-ended as your client is looking. So residential land or commercial suitable, or properties located at specific. So in other words, you're holding an open house, or they want to go look at one house and they're not sure they want to get married, they just want to date. You can say, all right, 123 Elm Street, and then that our relationship is limited to that.
The commercial lands communities as well. Welcome.
Yeah.
It's like, but any market is anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then instead of being super open-ended, you could say this is just for if we want to do this property.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like people use just that
That's nice,
that aren't
yeah,
used to
yeah,
having
yeah,
something
yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So you could put areas though in the second section.
Yeah.
Okay,
Northern Nevada.
well, yeah, because I had one client that wanted to shop Reno Sparks area, but then they wanted a specialist that lived down in Gardnerville.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted a separate agent for that.
Oh, yeah.
No sparks.
And so
you'd want to
I was like, okay, and so, okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to drive.
So the begin date and terminate date, say I show them the property at 123 Elm, and next week they're like, hey, I want this. But they have someone else that they go to,
Then you can say.
because it's on this, even though it terminated on the next day, or
Yeah.
how long do we make the termination?
Well, if you go down further in this, it'll say how many days they can buy that property within you showing it to them, but you also have to provide them saying, hey, I showed you this property. I'm the procuring cause for this.
That's a hard thing to
Yeah,
prove. I mean, me personally, like, I don't want to go to court and try to beat somebody up for money. So I'm just like,
Yeah. But that's how you do it.
yeah,
Within so many days of the termination of this agreement, provided that such property was presented to the buyer, 123 Elm Street. The term of this agreement, provided buyer has received a list of such properties within 5 days of the termination of this agreement. So you give the buyer the list of the 2 or 3 properties that you showed them. They acknowledge it, and and if they go and they buy it with some other agent, 89 days later, you're still entitled to collect your commission.
If
Is that
you
the
wanted
way
to.
everybody else understands
almost.
it?
I think almost,
Almost.
right?
Yep.
So. Yeah, I mean. Yes, I mean, you're still entitled to it, but
How do you get it?
Oh,
I've had that agent on the other side
I
that
go
got
after
it.
it.
So.
I go after it. Have I ever done that with a listing agreement? No.
yeah.
Have I ever given a list of possible?
Well, like with the listing agreement now, it's like, it used to be that basically like you would provide them a list of, all of your, buyers who came through within a day or two or whatever it is, and that was good for so long. But now if you read like the fine print of that, that's like, that's great, unless of course they relist it with somebody else and then that goes nowhere.
Yeah, right.
So, all right. So before it used to sit there and say, to not disclose confidential information relating for 1 year, after the agreement.
That's in the duty zone, that's why they took it out.
Yeah.
It's redundant.
So. Yeah. All right. So buyer obligations, buyer does not have a conflicting right and buyer or written buyer brokers representation agreement, right? So, I'm not going out with Ricky and Aaron and Hope, and we all have one together. So this is just them acknowledging that they really haven't signed anything with anybody else. On merit.
What if they have with just specific properties and they want to use a couple different agents?
Well, then,
I have a lot of investors. who
yeah,
text me like
so
that.
if they're going specific, I would truly ask them, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you show me your previous like buyer broker agreement, just so I can, or representation agreement, so I understand what limitations we're set within, right? So if they're like me and put Northern Nevada, okay, but if they're, 123 Elm Street, right? If they just put like 123 Elm Street, then cool, they're limited to what Elm Street. But if they hit me on Northern Nevada,
Yeah.
you're kind of in that little gray area where I wouldn't feel super comfortable.
Right.
You know, so that's it. So that's just the big determining factor. I would just want to see it, see how it was written just before I, started wasting my time.
And you can include some of those exclusions, if you will, in conditional terms.
Yeah.
So if your client has said, okay, I've already looked at these subdivisions with and under different representation, you can say these are exclusions to this buyer representation agreement.
Or they went to new builds without you.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Hold you.
So you have, to- but if you did the specific address, you'd have to do it for every one that you go to.
Yeah.
Unless they were like, okay, we're gonna actually look at a bunch of houses, so we're gonna make it more broad.
Yeah, I mean,
Like if they're comfortable signing on with you, yeah.
Right, yeah, just like how many times do we want to do this?
yeah, as I would go through and talk to them, I mean, I'd basically say, hey, look, if we're gonna be looking at houses all over Northern Nevada, let's just put Northern Nevada. If you want to just do a specific address, we could just put a specific address.
Right. Cool.
But my preference is not to do a specific address. Still wasting my time.
Sure.
Did you have a question? You good, Janice?
No, I was just readjusting my document.
Oh, okay.
All
All
right,
right.
what else?
Anything else that we wanted to talk about? I think that's.
I don't think,
pretty much it, right?
yeah.
All right.